That voice right there, it's a voice of experience, a voice of accomplishment, a voice of resilience, a voice of creativity, a voice of loyalty, commitment, devotion. That voice right there, I saw this man. I saw him on the street teams, waving flags of the radio station, handing out swag and merch. I seen him handing out hats and T-shirts.
Absolutely.
You know, getting gas and putting it in the
Rolo, in the 6'4" with P-Funk.
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
With a 6'4" with P-Funk.
Yes.
Shout out to P-Funk.
Absolutely.
A radio legend here in L.A. But he's gone on to do so much more. He's an Emmy winner. He's the executive producer of JCE, his own company. You may have seen some of his work, the executive producer of the New Edition story, the Bobby Brown story.
That's right.
BET Awards, BET Honors, VH1's Dear Mama, Celebrity Squares, BET Sunday Best, the Grammy Awards, the Emmy Awards, the Grammy Salute to 50 Years of Hip Hop, the Oscars, the Golden Globes, the Soul Train Awards, the Super Bowl, the most watched Super Bowl halftime show of his time with Usher.
Wow.
Come on,
Usher.
man. The Super Bowl halftime show with Rihanna. Ladies and gentlemen, Vibe Magazine. He has been featured in publications such as Billboard and Ebony Magazine. I watched the come up personally, and I'm proud to say I've been a part of it. The one and only Jesse Collins is here.
Jesse Collins.
Thank you.
Emmy award-winning Jesse
Come
Collins.
on, every time he come up here, I'm going to give him that kind of intro, man.
That was a big one.
That was
a big one.
Yeah,
that was a big one.
Whoa.
Thank
Good to have you here. The BET Awards is taking place this Sunday.
Yes, sir.
If you're in Southland, a.k.a. L.A., it is buzzing in these streets right now.
Yeah.
And all of this has to do with this tentpole, the BET Awards, right? It's exciting. People want to know what's happening. The performances are already the talk of the town. Miss Lauryn Hill
Yes.
and YG Marley
Yes.
are going to be there.
Yes. It's
Wow.
going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
How did that happen? Is it because of YG Marley's success, her son?
I mean, look, anytime we can have Lauryn Hill on the stage, you know, we want that opportunity. And when she started popping out and doing shows, and then obviously YG comes with this record that just takes off, we reached out and we were just so thrilled that she, you know, accepted the opportunity.
Wow.
And we know that, you know, look, you remember the last time, you know, we did the Fugees reunion.
Yeah.
I think that was back in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a moment.
Yeah.
That was a shutdown moment. That was like one of those opens that no one will ever forget.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to touch the stage, and it's going to have that same type of energy.
It's going to have that feeling, right?
It's going to have that feeling.
BET Awards, man, is such a staple in the game. And when I look at those who are performing, Miss Lauryn Hill, Sexy Red, Meg Thee Stallion, Money Long, Victoria Monet. This is a female, woman-centric lineup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that purpose?
Lotto, Glorilla.
Oh,
look,
come on.
You know, they're coming.
It's the year of the woman.
Listen, it is. It's not. You can't even put a timeline. It's just
the era.
Period.
The
It's the
future
era.
is
You
female.
can. You can't.
The future
just,
is here?
Yeah.
The
You
future's
can't just
female.
put a year on it. And Taraji's going to be an amazing host.
Yes.
And so, the women are. It's a takeover.
It's a takeover. It's
a
a women takeover, and I'm all for it. You see, I
Absolutely.
surround myself with beautiful women every single
Absolutely.
day on purpose.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I thought it'd be cool because some of these artists, you know, have come a long way, including Miss Lauryn Hill. But there were some artists that were out before them that are actually from L.A. And I wanted to invite one up here because I knew you was coming. This is a surprise for Jesse. So right now he's on the edge of his seat. I want to see if we could bring our surprise in. Don't just look at me, man. Don't look at me.
Right, keep it a surprise.
I'm trying to figure out who you because
It's all good. It's all
this is when I asked for the water and you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's all in the theme of the BET Awards. I
Let's
wanted
do
to
it.
bring one of LA's first voices in rap to come up here. It's also one of your co-workers from back in the day when you was street teaming. I'm talking the one and only Felicia Morris, a.k.a. the Poetess.
Felicia, have a seat right here.
Yeah, we got a seat for the Poetess.
Oh, my
yes,
God.
the Poetess citizens. This is one of the first voices of hip-hop that came out of L.A., And she had a major record deal. This is how I got to know her, and then she became one of the most respected, credible journalists and documentarians this side of the hip hop has ever seen. She's sitting on footage right now that is liquid gold.
Ha!
You know, and she comes here. This is my sister. You know, the Poetess and I have remained to be brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And
Of course.
I told her you was coming up here. We got to do this. This is an old 92.3 The Beat reunion right here.
I know. Let's just talk about
beat.
then. Yes, let's talk about the beat.
Who do you remember about Jesse back there?
Man, he was a little goofy.
Yep.
He's a little goofy, but always cool. I don't think I've ever walked into the station and not see Jesse with a smile on his face.
Yeah, man.
He was always
'Cause I was
upbeat.
goofy.
Yeah. But you were the goofy, but you were always positive. Like your energy, right?
I was having fun. POTUS was trying to like get a message out and save the world and help us and ground us. And I was just looking for the next Dre party. Like, you know, I was just in the club. I was just like, Jamaica House, let's go.
Jamaica House.
And POTUS
Yes.
always had that, you know, that conscious
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. And you were unconscious.
Totally
basically.
unconscious.
Yep,
I
okay.
was completely unconscious.
I get
I was
that.
unconscious a lot.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And so,
Let
so
me
it was
just
great.
say, Jesse, I am just over the moon proud of you. Like
thank you,
every
fellas.
time I see your name on something, a big smile comes upon my face.
I love hearing from POTUS.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
amazing. Thank
I'm
you.
just so proud of you, Jesse.
Thank you.
But I did want to ask you.
There you
Okay,
go,
here we
Poet.
go.
There you
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Let's
Oh,
get out
shit.
myself.
I can't help myself.
Just got
That's
real.
right.
It just got real.
No, give us a little bit about your journey from being on the street team at the number one station
It was
in
number
LA,
one.
At
We
the
was
time,
number
we
one.
were
all
number
the way
one.
to
Yeah.
producing these major.
I ain't never been on a number two. Get that right.
Oh my God,
All right, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
Kind
I'm
of
Shout
sorry.
out to
explain that
Keith
journey.
Napoli.
I mean, because it's amazing.
I mean, listen, you know, when I left the beat, and anytime anybody says left, that means they got fired. So let's just be clear. So when I left,
I've been saying I left the beat alone.
I actually left.
Listen,
I actually left.
that's an empowering
Yo, I
space.
left too. They didn't
Yeah.
fire us. All right.
Well, yes, we didn't. For me,
Okay.
left was fired. So, I remember I was sitting there and Harold Austin called me and said, who had just fired me. He was like, listen, I think there's a job for you in Chicago. Somebody, the program director or something, reached out. And I remember I sat there and I was like, if I go to Chicago, this could just happen again. You're there, radio, a couple years, and then I'll go to another place. And I just didn't feel like that was going to be the right move for me. So I didn't know what the right thing was, but I just stayed and I just didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember, I think I talked about this, but I went to Marlon Wayans and I was like, I want to be a writer. I got an idea for a script. And Marlon was like, go ahead, write a script. I wrote a script about George's, the restaurant that Denzel used to have on Melrose, called A Table at George's. It was bad. But anyway, I gave it to Marlon. Marlon played video games with me, and then at the end told me that the script was trash. And then he's like, but you got to keep writing. And then Robert Townsend and Faison Love really came to the rescue. And I wound up writing on Parenthood. And so it was just like a complete career transition. And in between that, I was able to get on Power 106 on weekends just to, you know, pay bills. Because, you know, like in those days, it was the unemployment shit.
Yeah.
Where you were like lying that you applied to 7-Eleven or whatever just to get the $400. And so that's 412. So then
Don't forget the 12.
That's the
12 was
unemployment
that was like a full ramen noodle week, $12.
Absolutely.
And so and then I was able to write for Montel Jordan on a show called Motown Live, and there was a producer there who was about to work on the first BET Awards, which was the 20th anniversary. And I went in there and I met with the guy from the Grammys who was producing the show. and I just talked my way into a producer job. I was supposed to write it. I realized he didn't know a lot about BT, and so I said, well, look, you got to have Snoop, and I know Snoop, so you should make me a producer.
You were at
And
the
that was
right
it.
place
So
at
it
the right time.
So it's all the hustle. It's all the hustle.
Was it always your goal to write, though, even before radio?
No.
No.
I wanted to be, and it's funny, I've told him this. I wanted to, remember Arsenio Hall show? Arsenio Hall was my idol.
Okay.
And I wanted
all
to
of
like,
our idols.
yeah, and I wanted to one day, I was like, I just want to work with Arsenio Hall. I want a late night show. That was my whole thing.
Okay.
Wow, and look at him now.
Yeah,
Wow.
it never came to, but that's the thing. I think it's like, as long as you're trying, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to have a goal. And then either you'll get that goal or something else will work out while you're on your way to get that goal.
Okay.
Wow, we got two LA legends just popped
Yeah.
out on us right now. I noticed you used that term, popped out.
It's like it's the new thing.
It's the new thing, right?
I mean, Poetess, what do you? Can I ask a question? I'm gonna
This is
get
what
my
this
Arsenio on now.
is. Yeah.
Okay, Poetess. When you see, not so long ago, it was an era of, in female hip hop, 1 or 2 names, maybe 3. Now you see all this diversity in hip hop. You have the Rhapsodies of the world, and then you have the Cardis, the Megs, you have Glows, you have Sexy Red. You have so
we
many.
have more of those. I think it's a little unbalanced. But
You think it's good? Go ahead. So
No, I just think it's a little. You have your Rhapsody, and then you have the whole other spectrum and other side. Not to say anything's wrong with that, but I think it's so much of the other that some of the other stuff doesn't get the recognition it deserves.
So you think it's even though there are more female rappers out here finding success, you think there needs to be more diversity?
No, I'm definitely happy about that. But yes, I do think that I think there is more diversity out there. They just don't get the shine or the, I guess, marketing that the other females do.
Oh, the dolls.
And I think it's kind of, well, I won't say it was like that before, because then you had your Queen Latifahs.
Yeah.
But you also had,
You had the Latifahs, you had the MC Lights,
Right.
And
you had JJ Fad, you had Boss, you had just
you had Heather B.
Heather
You know,
B.
you had the Poetess,
Yeah.
right? You had Lady Rage,
Yeah,
Rage.
yep.
Conscious Daughters.
Yep.
You
But
know,
all
Conscious
those you
Daughters.
just named were pretty conscious
Exactly.
back then.
Yeah.
So, but then
Yo-Yo.
you had your Little Kims and
yes.
but you still had a little bit of a balance back then. So I would say that between from, let's say, early 90s to now, there was more diversity back in the early 90s. So I don't know if that was by design.
Well, I think it was because, you had the same issue. That's almost a dichotomy. Not a dichotomy. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a small a microcosm of what was happening in male rap. And when the industry when we hear people talk about this, because at that time you had Public Enemy, you had Boogie Down Productions, Poor Righteous Teachers, X-Clan, when we was coming up, and they were speaking consciously. Then the music business decided that doesn't sell. That's not where we're going to invest. Not only that, it was empowering, right?
Absolutely.
It was bringing us together. So they were under that umbrella, and I think the women in rap suffered the same fate that men did when the music business just primarily started focusing on that kind of messaging, what we call gangster rap, or right.
But I think that they've always tried to sexualize female rappers, even when they were conscious. For example, Body and Soul, which was Dee Barnes and Almighty. Desire was her name in the group, and they were always pressured. They were a conscious duo, but they were always pressured to look sexy, to dress in a certain way. So I think even then there was conscious female rappers, but the industry tried to sexualize female rappers. And I think also with the other thing that I heard was when the industry really stepped in, it took the artistry out of it because people felt like, well, I got to make this kind of music in order to get a record deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Tracy, you want to get in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Jesse, in your role with producing, human beings are such visual learners. And when it comes to an award show, it can either upgrade or even downgrade performer status in the public eye. Can you take us through the process of how you choose the performers? Because to Poetess's point, versatility, that being seen, especially amongst women, is really important. And also, I've always wondered the steps before we see the artist on stage. Do they include... Does the artist just get a budget and they're like, whatever vision you want to bring to life, as long as it's under the budget, you get to do it? Or is it very collaborative where you and your team already have ideas that maybe you're pitching? Just going behind the curtain, what does that look like to make sure that something like the BET Awards shows the full spectrum of Blackness, as well as the steps that an artist take and how they want to present themselves on stage?
I mean, it's like all those things are true. There's sometimes where an artist comes in with a very clear vision of what they want to do, and then it becomes about, so they have an idea, and the first thing is, can we execute that idea? Can we get you the boat and the penguin and come out on a horse with 72 dancers and 6 of them fly down from a ceiling and we shoot you through out a cannon? Like, can we do all those things in 4 minutes and more? And also, it's a live show, so we're thinking about the other 12 or 13 performances and can we get that on and off? And yeah, to your point, making sure that the whole show reflects the tapestry of music in this time. So it's a real give and take.
Right.
I'm trying to think of the best way to answer that. It's always specific to the artist. Somebody comes in with an idea, and they usually have like a great creative team. And then for us, it's like figuring out how to execute.
Okay.
And then sometimes if they come in and there isn't an idea or their idea is not achievable, then we're all working together to try to figure out something that best represents the artist and the song. It's always about elevating. The artists always want to elevate, and we want to elevate the artist. We want because you can see people perform almost everywhere. Late night shows, social media, wherever. You can see them do these songs. So you've got to figure out a way to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Of why they're doing it on television in this format on this show.
Do you guys have a post-mortem meeting where kind of like the way LeBron is going to look at the tape of a past game, right? Or Beyonce is going to look at the tape of her last performance to see how they can tighten up how they want to highlight whatever major moments to elevate their next game, their next show. Do you guys do that as a team when it comes to award show and really pour over every detail of what we witnessed on television? Or do you kind of get a sense of how you want to grade the execution of the show while it's happening?
No, I mean, look, you go into thinking about last year's show, but you can't think about last year too much because you have a whole new thing to deal with. You have new cards that are dealt. It's like Sexy Red this year is not Sexy Red last year. So you've got to deal with her accordingly. We have to figure out how we're going to make sure that we create an environment that shows that she's a star.
Right.
That it's a big performance, that it has high production value, that it just pushes it to the next level.
Jesse Collins is here, man. He's the executive producer on so many award shows that you watch, including halftime shows and the big one that's coming up, the BET Awards this Sunday, where you're going to hear performances by Sexy Red, Meg Thee Stallion, Victoria Monet, Money Long. You can hear that in the background right now. YG Marley.
That's Victoria Monet.
Okay, and Lauryn Hill.
Kill it.
I want to say congratulations to you. I am curious to the difference in how you approach producing a halftime show as compared to an Oscars, as compared to a BET Awards. Is it different budgets, and do one matter more to you than the other?
they're all different. You know, the halftime. I could start with the halftime show. The halftime show is, you know, it's one artist. It's 12 minutes. One headlining artist, unless unless you catch, even the Dre thing. It started with Dre, and you know he led the vision. So you've got one artist. You've got 12 minutes. And you can just focus on that.
Yeah, that's kind of easier.
It's easier.
Right.
It's actually easier.
Yeah.
Emmys, Oscars, those types of shows it's not music based.
Yeah.
So now you don't have a song to create a moment.
Yeah.
You got to create a moment with an actor, an actress, and a television show, and a collaboration, a script, a pairing, like we did the Emmys last year, and we started the show with Christina Applegate.
Yes.
You know, it was an amazing moment for her.
Mm-hmm.
So proud of her that she was able to get it together to come out and present that first award. And everybody knew the symbolism of that.
Yeah.
And so that's a moment. Marla Gibbs with Quinta Brunson last year was a moment, you know, so it's a different type of energy. And the BET Awards is about our culture.
Yes.
And we have to make it in a way that the family can watch. So that, you know, the mother, the father, the kids, grandparents, they can all sit there. And like if it's my house, then they're arguing. You know, then it's like somebody saying, that ain't no rap. And then the kids are like, that is rap. You know, it's like that going back and forth. And, you know, seeing who is representing our culture musically now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like I know sometimes people want to judge the new music, saying this and that about it, but you really shouldn't judge it. You should accept it because that's the truth of where the youth are.
Of the present.
You know, the society has created them and they're responding to their environment for whatever they're rapping about. And so you have to accept that as the truth and then figure out how to embrace it, nurture it, shine it up. If you're going to present it to the world, present it the best way possible. But then more importantly, I think we should spend more time with these younger artists because they have so much influence so fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
It took, you know, when we were talking about Queen Latifah, it took Queen Latifah a long time to get to the influence and power that she has now in her voice.
Yeah, she had to step out of the genre and do other things to obtain it, right?
Now, you know, the Victoria Monets, the Lottos, the Glorillas, Sexy Red, all of these artists, Lucky Day, all these young artists, they are still, you know, they get hot really fast.
Yeah.
They're still trying to they have a lot of music in them. They're still trying to find who they are as an artist. And then because of, you know, the way things are now, they got to deal with a lot of other things too. And there's a lot of pressure on them. You know, what's their opinion on politics? Was this? Was that? Was that? They're still trying to get a foothold
of who they are.
That's so true. That makes me think about.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
I'm saying they're very young. It's just stuff. They're very young, and they're being asked questions that are hard. You know, and when we were young, I would be terrified if people wanted my opinion at 20.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? The shit I would have said with
20?
confidence.
Come on.
And then you give me 60 million followers.
Yeah.
You know?
Come on.
I'm saying crazy shit.
Yeah.
So we need to really help them however we can to develop who they are without being old and saying, you know, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. But I think it's like trying to support so that they can become the next Beyoncés and Jays and Latifah, because I think it's actually going to be harder for them because they're judged so hard every day.
I like this point, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Queen Latifah had days off from being Queen Latifah.
She didn't have social media.
Right.
Some asshole.
Right. She had days off.
Saying something about it. They ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
Right.
Yeah, she could go and reflect and say, like, okay, all right, I'm going to do this. Like, these artists today, Lotto every day's got to deal with some shit.
Something.
Cardi got to deal with some shit
every single day.
Every day. Cardi just might want to sit at the house and sleep. But somebody's talking shit to her every day. Every day somebody's asking her opinion on something.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine if you just had to go to your job 24/7. That's what their life is like.
That's what it's like.
24/7. If you work the register at McDonald's, imagine doing that shit 24/7. 4 a.m, somebody's saying you fucked up my fries.
And you actually cooked a great batch.
It's true.
I'm just using Cardi as an example, but Cardi just finished ripping it down she's performing tonight, she's just finished killing it. She's going to go home and then somebody's going to ask her a question.
Yeah.
She might be just on IG just
hanging.
Yeah. Somebody asks her a question, she answers it, and now the shit pops off.
Yeah. Good point, man.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Jesse Collins, he's right in the mix too, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying I'm glad that we came up in an era where we didn't have social media.
Yeah, man.
Because it has totally just changed the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But like I said, I'm glad we had pagers and SkyTel.
You had a pager. I didn't have one.
It's just like I remember. It's not a story. So we were shooting Real Husbands.
Real Husbands
Real
of
Husbands
Hollywood.
of Hollywood.
Kevin Hart.
That's my joint.
We were shooting Real Husbands of Hollywood, and Denzel Washington just came by the set.
Okay.
Just to visit because he was friends with Carl Craig, may he rest in peace, and it was just a drop by. And I don't know how it came out, but like at that time, and I don't know him, so I don't know what, but like he didn't have email on his cell phone, and his cell phone was in the car, and he's like, I don't do that.
I love it.
I don't do that. He doesn't
Like
email.
all of us are all sitting there with the phone
in our hands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right here next to it, and it's like, so maybe it is something to, and he's talked about it before about these things are tools, but you shouldn't let it own you. And I actually follow Denzel a lot. You see on social media, he says brilliant things about how to just get through life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like with social media, it's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard for artists and people in general, but especially artists.
Yeah, because now they're trying to ban it to where teens, because of the psychological impact it has on young people.
Of course.
Yeah, in California here.
Yep.
And then you could go to different countries where they filter the kind of content that comes on these social media platforms. But I think you raise a good point, and I think it's something for all of us to think about. But I love your support of these uprising, emerging new artists. And you can see it reflected on the bill here at the BET Awards this Sunday. Make sure you watch it. We got the executive producer right here. Jesse Collins is here. JCE in the building. Meg Thee Stallion, Sexy Red, Victoria Monet, Money Long, YG, and Miss Lauryn Hill.
Oh, yeah.
And more.
Shabuzi. It's going to be we got everything.
We got everything?
Everybody going to be there.
Okay, I'm
When
glad
they say
you.
who all there? Say
Everybody's
going to
be there.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm glad this happened. Poetess, I love you. Thank you for being a
love
part of
both
this
of you
surprise.
guys.
I even wore her T-shirt. I wore her merch.
I love it.
We're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year at Morris Media Studios, and I swear I started with my last paycheck and the help of friends and family, and here we are 10 years later.
Congratulations.
So thanks everybody who supported.
Where is it located?
It is in Leimert Park on Crenshaw, and I love being in that community. It's been the best.
And if you want to learn how to become a broadcast journalist, how to set up your own podcast, how to set up your own cameras, your own studio, your own green screens, right? You could do everything.
You could come to Morris Media for that.
Morris Media.
Let's
here
do
in
it.
LA. I mean,
Yes.
listen, if you're trying to get into business, I got people hit me every day. How do I get into business?
Do your research.
Do your research and learn. And
Yes.
if you become a part of Morris Media, anybody in the Southland, I don't care what part of LA or outside of LA you live in, it's very accessible. I've been to the studios. They're amazing. She has great people working with her, and you can learn how to do it yourself. So how can they hit up Morris Media?
You can hit us up at our website, morrismediastudios.com, or by email, contact@morrismediastudios.com. What makes us special, though, is that we teach people how to podcast. We hold their hand. We walk them through every process, because people, even back when we were on the air, people always thought it was easy as just sitting at the mic and talking. Remember when we used to have the celebrities come in and fill in for us?
Oh yeah.
They
were
would
horrible.
come in. They didn't know what to do once they sat down.
Yeah.
So there's a science to podcasting. It's a production like everything else. Do your research. And you can make it happen. That's the beauty of podcasting.
There it is,
Just about
man.
anybody can do it.
Absolutely. And Jesse, I want to say thank you for coming up this morning.
Yes,
we'll be all
Jess.
watching the BET Awards. And-
Please do. Please do.
And,
Please do.
and since I got you both here, man, can the Poetess get a pair of tickets, bro? I'm sorry. Get a
I
Poetess
got
a pair
you.
of tickets,
I
man.
got the Poetess.
Okay, man,
She'd
get her a
always
pair
in
of
the
tickets,
pocket.
man.
Always
I'm
in the
okay,
pocket.
but get her a pair of tickets.
I
Jesse.
got her. I got her.
Come on,
We're
man.
gonna put
She
you in
shouted
there.
you out when you was on the street reporting for that.
Exactly.
For that
Exactly.
advertisement.
When I was at the Golden Tail doing a
Oh
club.
my
you go.
God, the
Golden
golden
Tail.
tail. Oh God.
El
Ay, ay,
Segundo's
ay.
finest.
What's that other one?
DJ
Rockberry?
Paradise.
Rockberry? What was that?
Shout out to Paradise.
It was
Roxbury.
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 Roxbury. Roxbury was at
Jamaica
Jamaica House.
House.
Cannons in Long Beach.
Oh my God.
Great
God.
memories y'all all
What
have.
was the one in
yes.
Inland Empire?
Shoot,
Peppers.
I don't know.
Peppers.
Yes.
That tells you, see, like, I remember all the clubs.
P-Funk would know. all
Poetess
that.
remembers no clubs.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Poetess remembers who was mayor, who was on the council.
She was conscious.
She was thinking about some bills, some education bills.
Right.
That's what she
I
was
felt
thinking
like
about.
every day at the beat was my last day because I was so political and
Oh, yeah.
so on my own thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm about to get
She
fired
was.
today.
It was. You don't know how many conversations we had for you on your behalf.
No. Somebody got to sound smart up here. Really, just leave it alone.
Give us one.
Just leave it alone. We got to have balance.
There you go.
Yes,
There you go.
I love y'all. Thank you for coming by today. This was amazing, right?
Thank